What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel. It's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled and I'm very much so appreciative. So let's talk about some Bulldogs. Let's talk Bulldog business, right? We all know FAY3HUNNITS pulled up to No Jumper and said what he said. That's in the books. That's solidified. That cannot be erased. It is what it fucking is. That kid decided to go on No Jumper, pull up, make his presence felt, and say whatever the hell was on his mind, right? But that doesn't mean everything he said is a reflection of the Fresno Bulldogs. Okay, that's a fact. And I've been hearing a lot of rumors, and I've seen videos, content creation, content that has been made that has actually said that the Fresno Bulldogs might in fact be tripping off FAY3HUNNITS and some of the things that he said. Now, I tapped in with some of the dogs, right? Some of my old school partners, some of my old school F14 Bulldogs that I fuck with. And, you know, in fact, a couple of the dogs that actually let me know that FAY3HUNNITS months ago was pulling up to No Jumper. And their information is 100, right? It's pura. It's 10-5 a key. And, you know, I inquired into it like, hey, bro, not to get in your guys' business, but what's the word on the curb? You know, what's really going on out there? Give me some knowledge you can't get in college. Are the Bulldogs really tripping off this youngster based on, you know, some of the things he said? And the answer that I got back was there are some. There are some. Now, I'm not going to give you a particular hood, street, any of that. And I'm not going to say how they're feeling as far as what's going to happen to this guy, you know. Someone mentioned the other day, hey, will he get DP'd? I don't know how the Bulldogs conduct that type of business. I don't know if they DP their homeboys. I know that Bulldogs have free will, you know, so they're able to speak their mind, do what the hell they want to do. No one's going to tell them. But in every gang, in every organization, every group, there's going to be a hierarchy. Whether it's solidified and written in stone, like, hey, this is the big homie, there's always going to be big homies that give you that knowledge. There's always going to be homies that educate you, that you look towards, that have been incarcerated, that are seasoned, that kind of get out and run their barrio. You know, they're that main big homie from that hood. And it doesn't matter if you're North, South, Bulldogs, there's always that one or two, right? So I'm sure being from College Street where, you know, Shorty's from and fucking his son FAY3HUNNITS, they definitely come from a barrio that's pretty well known on the east side of Fresno. That's period, plain and simple, right? So whether it's his homeboys tripping or other hoods that are tripping, they're all Bulldogs. You know, when you go up there and you misrepresent someone, a group, you know, people are going to feel some type of way. People take this shit serious. Okay, I know, you know, to those that have never lived the gang lifestyle, never been involved, they don't understand how serious it can get. But it's a life or death situation. When you're mischaracterizing, you're on a big platform where millions of people are going to see what you have to say. You have to conduct yourself with a sort of professionalism and class like Big Tone did. Like several others do that pull up to that bullshit ass fucking No Jumper podcast. Regardless of what the questions that are being asked, you better be on tip top shape, man, when it comes to answers. You know, you better know your history before you speak on your history. And to be totally honest with you, I don't think Faye knows too much about his history. He knows the roundabout stories, but he doesn't know the details. And it's crazy to say an ex-Norteño man from Merced knows a little bit more about the history than he does. My respects ultimately to this guy, and I wish him nothing but progress, and I hope that nothing happens to him behind this shit. But the fact of the matter is, Vatos are tripping. You know, they do feel played out. They do feel like he belittled the raza and he made the dogs look some type of way. And I remember watching, you know, the interview and thinking to myself, wow, that's not how Bulldogs conduct themselves. That's not how any Bulldog I've ever ran into, talked or acted. But I understand it's a different era, times change. And maybe, just maybe, this guy was speaking on his particular clique or his particular people that he hangs around with. That's the way they rock, black rags. Because, hey, I'm going to tell you, in all my time going back and forth to Fresno, dealing with dogs, doing time with dogs, they never wore black rags. They never wore blue paños. They never said, hey, we're not wearing a red paño. See, that red paño is a different symbolization than the Norteños. You know, at one point they were norteños, so it was all the same thing. But because the colors of their college team, Fresno State Bulldogs, where they derived their mascot from, where they took their symbolization for their barrios, is red and blue, you will see a lot of them wearing red, predominantly red t-shirts, white and blue, because that's the colors of their college team. But never seen a Bulldog wear a blue paño or a black rag. And that's some new school shit, some shit I've never heard of or seen. But if FAY300 says that's what it is, then I guess that's what it is with his people, but not as the Bulldogs as a whole. So I could see some of the dogs being upset about that. And the homeboy told me, yeah, hey, bro, talking about we wear black rags, basically, he goes, we're always going to wear red rags. And there are still homeboys that have F14 on them. And it's not because of Fresno Norteños. It's because of the spikes that are on the collar and the teeth. If you count all the spikes and the teeth, it comes out to 14. So that's the F14, Fresno 14. So their 14 is a different thing. And I remember when they started saying that, because I still seen Bulldogs, even after the split back in the days, getting F14s on them. And I tripped, like, why are they still getting the 14 on them? Are they still trying to represent the homies? And a Bulldog ran me down in the oil. He's like, nah, bro, it's because of the spikes and the number of the teeth. Count them. That's all you got to do to see if my history's on point, right? And ask a Bulldog that knows, and he'll tell you. Here's why they're tripping off Faye. It's not because of the mischaracterization of wearing black rags and, like I said, or the Punches Pilot haircut or the skin tight t-shirts. It has nothing to do with that. You know, that's the stilo now. Everyone's rocking that. North, south, black, white, everyone's doing that, right? More so, this is what it is. First of all, he belittled the raza, saying the Bulldogs basically are not, they don't rock like raza, they rock like blacks. Okay, people felt some type of way about that. Because every culture is a beautiful culture and everybody loves, you know, their own people first and foremost. Whether it's blacks, whites, browns, you know, they're always going to put their people ahead of everyone else. And that's righteously, you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to love your gente. You're supposed to never be ashamed of what you are. Too Short said it, be proud, right, of what you are. And the Bulldogs are a very proud group. Proud enough to have still been around after several decades of fighting opposition and enemigas, right? So these dudes have made sacrifices, been incarcerated, have went through the fucking, you know, they've went through the bullshit. Not to only have a youngster, the first time that they ever get some national presence. And I mean, they did it with Phantom, and Phantom said what he said on MSNBC. And there's a lot of Bulldog. I know a lot of people see Phantom, they're like, oh, he's crazy, he's this, he's that. And my respects to Phantom, you know, but there's also a lot of Bulldogs in Fresno that know Phantom personally and feel some type of way about him as well. Right? So that's the truth. But not to say I know any dirt on Phantom or anything like that. Don't get it misconstrued. You know, he's always been righteous with me. But I'm just saying, I've been told by dogs that they don't fuck with them for whatever reasons. Now, as far as Faye, him basically being thrown on that platform is like, you have the voice. You need to represent your people well. And when he said that Bulldogs basically are not, they don't care about that raza, or he don't care about that raza. It's all about, you know, and then he said the Nword. Basically, they carry themselves like brothers. That's the furthest from the truth. Now, there are a lot of dogs, a lot of Norteños, Southsiders that say the Nword. There's a lot of Mexicans that say it. They should not. Okay, they should not. Let me repeat that. But they do. And hey, whether you're a product of your environment, that's the way you were raised. Your homies ain't tripping off you. You know what I mean? The N-word means something different now. Or whatever fucking excuses there are. You're Mexican, you shouldn't say it. Period. Okay, it's a disrespectful, derogatory word that means ignorance. And an ignorant person is the person that says it, especially if they don't know the history behind it and what it means. Now, I'm not saying that everyone that says it is an ignorant person. I'm just saying those that are ignorant to its history should not say something that they haven't done their homework on. That's a fact. Because I believe that once you do your homework on it and you get a true understanding of what that word truly means and the symbolizations behind it and the history behind it, then you'll have enough understanding in the game to know that that's not the word you should be using. There's so many other words that you can use, right? But that's that. That's not the whole reason why the dogs are tripping. The dogs are tripping, and there's a certain group of dogs that are tripping because FAY300 said in that interview that one of his brothers was shot in the head, man. that one of his brothers, his blood brother, was murdered by the police in Fresno. Okay? That's not his brother. Okay? And that hood that his brother's from is not the same hood FAY3HUNNITS from. I know that hood. I know that hood quite well. I know some of the dogs from that hood. They don't fuck around. They're with them shenanigans and them activities, right? And imagine this. You have a homeboy and he gets murdered by whoever. And there's a guy going on there claiming that, oh, this is my brother, this is my thing. It kind of feels like you're trying to clout chase off his name or throw his name around. Now, whether they were good friends and consider themselves brothers, you have to distinguish that from a fact of a real brother. Like, if you're telling the story, hey, my brother was locked up and he really was, that's your blood brother, all right, that's cool. But if you're saying, hey, man, I got a homeboy, we're like brothers, bro, this is what happened, bam, okay, you've clarified it. But when you're going out there, oh, my brother this, my brother that, and that really ain't your brother, man, the people that are closest to him, his real brothers, his real family, are going to feel some type of way. Because now they feel like you're utilizing his demise and what he went through to kind of live off that clout, make yourself look harder, make your city look harder. Like, oh, we're really out here doing it, man. My brother got shot in the head by the cops because we really out here pushing. No, he was out there pushing, not you. And that's not your brother. So there are dudes that are tripping off that, man. That's a fact. You know, this is what I've been told. Now, are they tripping to the point that this guy's going to get hands put on him or murked or things like that? No, I wasn't told that. It's kind of just like, I'm sure he's going to get talked to. I'm sure it's going to be addressed. I'm sure people are feeling some type of way. But anything's possible and anything can happen, especially in the city of Fresno. Let me explain a little something about Fresno to the people that don't know, who ain't never been there. The dogs are deep, okay? The dogs got several clicas, several barrios in Fresno, and they all are of an understanding that when they are incarcerated, they run Bulldog, but on the streets, they fall under different politics, different reasonings, different hood things that they going through, right? Whether it be the east side, the west side, Park Side, Malaga, Kawa, Lewis Street, Bond, College, RTL, and there's fucking so many others, man. And then you got the county dogs, Colinga, and you got dogs from fucking Sanger, and you got dogs from, I don't think there's dogs in Clovis, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of dogs, chancla dogs and all that, right? I've done time with every hood, from the east side to Bond Street. That's a fact, right? And I can tell you there's certain cliques and certain hoods of dogs, man, that are a little bit more notorious than others. They're a little bit bigger, they're a little bit deeper. They got a little bit more seasoned guys that have been in and out incarcerated, and a little bit more history. It's a fact. A lot of these gangs and these dogs, they date back to the F-14 days. Groups like College and Bond, the East Side, you know, West Side Chandler Boys and Pleasant Street. And a lot of them date back to the F-14 movement. So a lot of them come from that stock. Now, albeit these youngsters nowadays, this era, they don't come from that stock. They have their own stock, man. It doesn't mean their stock is any much watered down than the stock before them, but they just come from different fabric. Okay? Silk sheets. Back in the days, it was rough wool. Now it's silk sheets. It's a little bit more slippery. But that doesn't mean that they won't pull out something and get you. You know, when you represent a group as respected as the Bulldogs in the city of Fresno, you have to know your history. FAY3HUNNIT, I don't believe, knows his history. I believe he lives in the here and now, which of course that's how we all live in. But you can't go up there, especially to a podcast where everyone's watching, all eyes on you, and misdirect traffic, man, you know, and lie, and at the same time, you know, make your people look bad. Bulldogs have always been raza. There's black bulldogs, white bulldogs, all that, but everyone knows that's a Chicano gang. That's a Hispanic or a Mexican gang, whatever fucking way you want to, you know, say it. You know, I like to say a Chicano or a Mexicano gang. Raza is what that is. Okay, doesn't mean that just like Norteños and Southsiders, there's blacks, there's whites, there's Asians, others, Filipinos, Pinoy, all that, there's members from everywhere. But and the Bulldogs are the same way, but it's a well-known Hispanic gang is what they call it. I don't like the word Hispanic, but I'm gonna utilize it this time, right? So when he went up there basically saying, oh man, we don't care about that raza. We ain't with that raza bullshit. We're brothers, basically, but the Nword, right? First of all, man, you're not black, bro, at all, right? You might do hip hop, that was found. The foundation is, of course, the Brothers, man, and the B-Boys, the Puerto Rican B-Boys out there in New York, and the Brothers, man, especially. And you might come from that life, but I know College Street. I know Bulldogs, and I know ain't one of them going to condone saying that, because they take pride in being brown, man, and being one of the only raza gangs or organization that has defied all others, right? And they take pride in that. That's your history. You know, the history of the Bulldogs, I know a lot of people trip on them and like to clown and talk shit and all, they never leave Fresno and they're confined to one city and this and that. But that's not the truth. The truth of the matter is these Vatos been wiggling and they've been fucking putting it down. They've been handling their business, because if they weren't, then they wouldn't be posing a threat and they wouldn't still be around, because several people come and go. Okay, but they've had a foundation for a long time and they're established. And that's the fact. But they're not established under the pretense of acting like a Crip gang or a Blood gang or a black person or a white person. They're exactly what they started out as, raza. So when he said that, man, I'm sure a lot of dogs are tripping. And you know, my homeboy told me straight up, he was like, yeah, the little homie, man, he's righteous, he's solid, he just ain't schooled right. And I said, well, his dad, Shorty, man, is a solid one. I did time with him. I know what he's about. I've rocked beside him. I've seen what he's capable and what he was with. But just because your father or your family are a certain way, that doesn't reflect on, that doesn't mean you are. See, there's a lot of people that utilize their family ties and who their peoples are, and think that gives them a pass or it makes them hard. You know, you have to fucking stand on your own feet. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, my little brother was in county jail fighting all kinds of cases. He ended up ultimately doing a little under 24 years, right? And I remember some of my homeboys would get at me, hey, your brother's here, bro. We got him, don't trip, whoop-de-whoop. I was still active at the time. And I was like, yeah, cool. Then I realized something. I couldn't let him live off my name, my reputation, what I did. He had to do it on his own. So the homies were like, yeah, your brother this and your brother that. I say, fucking see what the Vato's about. Don't heart check him or test him. You know, it's my brother, man. I love him. I don't want him to go through some bullshit. But let him do him. Let's see what he's about. And he exceeded expectations. That Vato fucking became that one. Did way more than I ever done in my career. Gotta respect it, right? Even though at the end of the day, it's just gangbanging. I know in society, man, it's a bad look. But I'm saying within that lifestyle, he achieved status. He did his thing, okay? On his own. He didn't utilize my name to gain any fucking, type of clout or any type of, he just did him. And in fact, when I did fall off and when it was all bad with my name, I was happy that he was able to do that and fucking pull himself away from my name, because my name wasn't good no more, man. And I didn't want that to be the reason why motherfuckers tripped on him. So he did him. Respectfully. He did man time. Okay, so when you use someone else's name and you think just because your father or your brother or whatever is that one, you got to be your own man. So I don't blame anyone else for not properly schooling him or not giving him the history. A seek and you shall find. That's what I was always been told when I was laced up. If you are a part of something and you're out there fucking gangbanging and saying that this is what I am, then you got to know your history. You got to seek it. And that's a fact. All these guys running around talking about Crip, Blood, North, South, Bulldog, this, that, this. If you don't know your fucking history, then you truly don't know what the hell you're banging about. You're willing to sacrifice your life and the lives of others on something you really don't know about. That's like me running around saying, oh man, I bumped this song. This motherfucker's bad, but I ain't never heard it. I don't know if it's bad or not. And that's the truth. So are the Bulldogs really tripping off Faye? There are some. Absolutely. And I don't think they're tripping to the point they want to put dog paws on them. And maybe some do. But from what the homie told me is they just want to give them game. Glitch them up. And they don't want that no jumper interview to be a reflection of what Bulldogs really are. Because they're nothing like what he said. They're a group that has been around, that are from the old school, man. And yes, times have changed for everyone. And shit has gotten a little watered down, allegedly. But, that is no reflection of what they are. And again, man, this has to do with Adam as well. He brought on someone who he just heard about. And instead of doing his research and his homework, and if you're going to ask someone the questions about their history and how Bulldog started and this and that, then you got to get someone who knows it, man, rather than just a little kid that you feel you can direct and cause some type of conflict. Because the whole point of that interview was not to give us the history of the Bulldogs. It was not to talk about FAY300's music. It was more so to talk about the Norteños and the Southsiders to cause friction within the raza. And that's a fact. Anyways, man, so those of you that are asking, are the Bulldogs tripping off them? Lightweight? Will something happen? I don't know. If I did, I wouldn't tell you, but I don't. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming, and remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive to struggle, the struggle to strive. I'm giving you the knowledge you can't get in college. I'm trying to give you youngsters a game. Just in understanding, no poison, but in understanding that if you're going to represent something, you're going to be out there doing it, man, to the fullest, then understand why you're doing it and what you're doing it for. This is the gun. Bang, bang.